Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing for Monday, the 5th of January. I know that many of you are heading back to work this morning, so hopefully it's not too painful for you. I'm sure it won't be after the weekend's events, and it brings me great joy to say that Chris Jack joins me to discuss what unfolded in the East End of Glasgow on Saturday. How goes it, Chris?
I expect people to be bouncing back into their offices all over the country this morning. Those January blues should certainly have lifted thanks to our own blues efforts at the weekend. Very rare that we can do a Monday morning show where it should all be fairly positive and upbeat, and everyone should be in a good mood. So, no, events of Saturday, as you say, still very much at the forefront of minds before we turn our attentions to Aberdeen tomorrow night.
Yep, Rangers back in action, and I very much hope they can make it from 4. Aberdeen are managerless now, of course. They've made the decision to sack Jimmy Tillin after a really poor run of form. So I wonder what Neil Warnock's up to. But there you go. Quick word for our podcast sponsors before we dive in, folks. Willows Fencing, the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust, and proud partners of the Rangers Review. If you're looking for a new fence, these are the guys to call. They've got over 20 years of experience in the fencing game. No job is too big or too small for these guys. They offer free consultations and 10% off with the code willows-fencing.com. Now, there is no press conference today ahead of the game tomorrow night, but Danny Rule, I believe, being interviewed by Sky round about now. So if there's anything major coming out from that, folks, then we will be letting you know on the show this morning. We'll start with, before we delve into the game, a bit of concerning news in the aftermath of it, Chris, and we'll touch on this first of all. Dujon Sterling has been arrested following the game on Saturday. He was charged in connection with road traffic offences after police received reports of a one-vehicle crash in Glasgow in the early hours of Sunday morning. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash, and there were no other vehicles involved. A statement from Police Scotland reads, around 1:25 a.m. on Sunday, the 4th of January, police received a report of a one-vehicle crash on West Graham Street, Glasgow. There were no injuries reported. The driver, a 26-year-old man, was arrested and charged in connection with road traffic offences. He's expected to appear at court at a later date. The Rangers haven't commented on this as yet. It's our understanding, however, that Dujon Sterling is fit for tomorrow night, so he will be available for the game. But I won't say too much on it, but there's no sugarcoating it. That's not a good look, Chris.
I'm sure as people will appreciate, given the situation, as you say, there's not very much more that we can see on it. We now have to let the process take its course. As you mentioned there, Derek, the good news is that there was no injuries in that incident, and as we understand it, Dujon will be available for the game on Tuesday, which is definitely a good thing. So I thought he played really well at that Parkhead. His return has been very timely for Rangers. He's been a valuable member of the squad, a player that Danny Rule likes. I think he believes that he can get a lot more out of him. So hopefully, I'd imagine he will start again on Tuesday if he's fit to play. I think he plays either at centre half or at right back. So we'll see. You mentioned the manager's Sky interview there. We'll see if he touches on it. But like us, while this process is ongoing, there's not really much more we can say on it apart from its impact in a football sense.
Yeah, I believe that Rangers dealing with it. It's been dealt with internally, but whether we hear from the club on it or not is another thing. I'm sure it may be brought up in that Sky interview with Danny Rule, but I can't imagine there'll be too much he can say on it. But moving on then from that, and it was a fantastic, Dujon was fantastic in that game, of course, preferred to James Tavernier at right back, and it was the proverbial game of two halves, Chris, wasn't it? Rangers off it, passive, as what we've seen a lot of times this season. That first half, very fortunate to be going in just 1-0 down, but the second half, Danny Rule made the substitution, took off Tello Aasgaard, which I think was imperative. and brought on Mohamed Diamande, who was excellent, and Rangers scoring 3 goals without reply. Could have scored more. Yusuf Chermiti finally arrived as a Rangers player. Fantastic performance from him. And you just hope that they gives them a real, well, Danny Rule did say it after the game. I think we touched on it in the post-match video as well. It was a statement win. It wasn't one of those lucky wins or you're hanging on. And Rangers were very fortunate. It's the fact they blew away Celtic in that second half really lays down a marker, and it's got a lot of Rangers fans believing that the season may just end in spectacular fashion. If they don't take confidence from this, then I don't know what will. I actually enjoyed Yusuf Chermiti's press conference after it. He was asked about whether they have aspirations that they can win the title, and he just short and sweet, he just says yes. Shows you that sort of inner belief behind the walls at Auchenhowie and Ibrox, that the players, the coaching staff really believe that they can end this season on a high.
Given everything that has gone on, given everything that we've spoken about and we've reported on and we've covered over the course of this season, for Rangers to be first week in January and not be favourites for the league, I don't think we can say that, but certainly to be right in the race for the title, it's quite remarkable. You look at the whole host of stories of trials, tribulations, events. You've had the hiring and firing of Russell Martin. You've had the Patrick Stewart, Kevin Thelwell situations. You've had so much debate about the standard of this squad individually and collectively, but somehow they've got themselves to within 6 points of Hearts. Somehow they've got themselves level with a Celtic side who, safe to say, very much have their own issues to deal with right now. It's not a usual case of, well, the Old Firm are neck and neck, and you fear what Celtic could do in the second half of the season. You just don't know how they're going to react to it. Now, you speak there a bit about the Rangers' reaction. How Celtic react to it is going to be really, really telling as well. How Hearts react to having Rangers, who were once 12 points behind after that game at Tynecastle just a couple of weeks ago, now within six at this stage with as many games to go, especially 2 games against Hearts still to go. 6 points is not an awful lot at all. So every team, every squad, every player, every manager in this 3-horse race now, they've all got different questions to answer. They've all got different positives and negatives. If Rangers can have more positives than negatives over the coming months, if they can continue this week with 6 points against Aberdeen, if they can go and do the right bits of business in the transfer window, the title is certainly there to be won. And I think if you rewound a couple of months when we were speaking during Russell Martin's tenure and after he was sacked and during the managerial hunt, I don't think there's many of us that believed it was possible for Rangers to get themselves into this position. But events have unfolded, and Danny Rowe has done an excellent job. You have to say he's done what he had to do outside of that game at Tynecastle. And as you say, Saturday felt like a statement win. Better Rangers sides than that have gone to Parkhead and not won. So it says a lot about the squad that they were able to do so in that manner. And especially as we both spoke to Josh about post-match at the weekend, to be so far in that first half, but then to find it within themselves to make those tactical changes, to make the personnel change in terms of Diamande, and then raise the performance levels and have those big moments from Chermiti and Moore. Really, really encouraging from a Rangers perspective.
Yeah, most certainly. I love this from Lewis. He says, photo of Chermiti in the frame on the desk of a workmate this morning. Absolutely sensational. I also enjoyed seeing on social media somebody bought one of these electronic billboards. I think it was at East Kilbride or something like that, and they stuck Chermiti up on it. I love all that sort of shenanigans after a Rangers win. It makes it all the more sweeter, that's for sure. And enjoy in going into work and winding up your Celtic supporting workmates today, folks. Milk it and soak it all in, because that is what it's all about. But the comment came in there. It's only a statement when the Rangers go and beat Aberdeen tomorrow night, Chris. Double header now against the Dons, of course. And you said it on the show on Saturday as well. it's almost a more difficult game because it's easy in a sense to get up for the Celtic games. It's the showpiece fixture in the calendar. Can they now do it into the bread and butter games, the games against Aberdeen, who will be coming to Ibrox? A bit of a wounded animal, shall we say. You might get not a new manager bounce, but a different voice. Often you find that sides get a bit of a lift when a manager is sacked. So Rangers cannot be treating Aberdeen lightly. If they make it down and say that, I know they're getting a hell of a lot of snow up there.
I think Josh, he's heading up there on Sunday for the game. He should probably just set off just now, just to make sure that he gets there okay. He messaged me last week to say, do you want me to do Pataudry? And I wasn't arguing, and that was before I saw the long-term forecast for it. So fingers crossed, all goes okay for everyone travel-wise over the next few days. On the pitch, it's interesting now. Like you touch on the Aberdeen managerial situation there. Who knows what kind of reaction they will get. Actually, I messaged one of my mates who's an Aberdeen fan last night to say, do you fancy Neil Warnock back in? Safe to say he wasn't overly enthused at the prospect of that. I don't think that will be happening. But it's interesting heading into. It's not very often that you have 2 games in a couple of days against the same opposition, and we'll see what kind of reaction Aberdeen get. Now it's obviously it's a big game for them. It's one of their cup finals in the season. You don't have to remind the Aberdeen fans what a trip to Ibrox means to them. So they will certainly be up for it. The flip side of that, of course, now is Ibrox should be up for it and will be up for it. Now, we spoke after the Hearts game. What will the reaction at Ibrox be for Motherwell, for St Mirren? Will the crowd really have that belief? The crowd should have a bit of belief in it now. They should really fancy their chances. And Rangers have to go and capitalise on it. See a number of comments coming in saying it's only a statement win if you go and follow it up. It means nothing if you don't go and follow it up, and that's entirely true, entirely accurate. And I hope, and I'm sure that's the same message that the manager is trying to get across to this squad. So yes, you go and enjoy your night on Saturday, you make the most of it, but after you've soaked it in and you've savoured it for a wee bit, you have to get back down to business. You have to refocus, and you have to go and now win the next 2 games this week. And then you wait and see what others do, what the Celtic do, what the Hearts do. Right now, Rangers just need to keep focusing on their own business, keep taking care of their own business, and keep winning as many matches as they can.
Yep, and of course, only 2 games taking place tomorrow night, so an opportunity for Rangers to go 3 points ahead of Celtic and just 3 behind Hearts and put a bit of pressure on. So it's all there for Danny Rule and the players. I expect them to win that game, incidentally. I think that fans heading along to Ibrox on Tuesday night, listen, it'll be bitterly cold, but there's going to be a lot of optimism in the air. I expect it to be a pretty electric atmosphere at Ibrox because more and more are starting to believe, including myself. I'm getting a little carried away as well, but there you go. That's what football is all about. Lots of points coming in. I wanted to get to a few of them. I love this. This shows you just the strength of the fan base worldwide. Gaza says, wonderful night with 100 plus beers in the Sportsman in Bangkok on Saturday evening. I know it well, Gaza. We just need to keep delivering 3 points, starting with Aberdeen double header. Yeah, is it a quirky situation? We play Aberdeen twice in the space of a week, but there you go. Chris with the point here, he says the only mistake Rule made on Saturday, in my opinion, was starting Aasgaard. I am not sure he is good enough for us at normal domestic. I'm not sure he's good enough for us at normal domestic games, but 100% does not have it for these fixtures. I thought that the yellow card incidentally nullified him early on in that game. So it's hard to go in too hard on Tello Aasgaard for me, but the game just passes him by. It's a bit like, remember when Joe Rebo used to play back in the day, Chris, and that criticism was levelled at him in this fixture was often passed him by and it wasn't made, he wasn't cut out for it. Get a similar impression with Tello Aasgaard. He was brought for big money to be a game changer in games like this. And he's just set off at hand. And of course, the game at Ibrox done a number on Callum McGregor, but I was looking for a bit more, albeit Rangers were a very different animal back then under Russell Martin. Concerns about Tello Aasgaard? Would you be, if you're in the Rangers board, would you be looking at moving him on this window?
I'd be surprised if he moves on this month. I think come the summer, then there's definitely a conversation to be had whether he has what it takes to be a successful Rangers player or not. I think he's got a certain quality. I think he's got certain technical abilities. Is he a Rangers player? I remain to be convinced. I think it was at the start of last week we spoke a bit about him, but maybe even a couple of weeks ago, before he got his 2 goals, and I said to you I would have him nowhere near that team at Parkhead. He then goes and contributes in a couple of games, gets a couple of goals, and you think, well, he's in good form, he's shown a wee bit more. Could he then go and take it on again and take it up a level and actually go and influence an Old Firm game? And the predicted side that I had on the site on Saturday morning, I didn't have him in there. I had Dujon Sterling in the middle of the park. But I think you give the manager credit for making a really big decision not to start his captain, not to play James Tavernier, and Sterling goes in at right back. That decision worked. On the flip side, you have to say starting Aasgaard didn't work. I think you maybe put him in there to be a bit more physical, offer a wee bit more height, but it didn't work. Like you, I thought the yellow card, it was daft, though, wasn't it? You can't make that type of challenge. You know you're going to get pulled up for that. It nullified him to an extent, but you're still looking for more quality on the ball. There was one in that first half. He picks up the ball on the edge of the 18-yard box and he chips it and dinks it out to the touchline for Homa, I think. And it's just a really silly, needless pass. So I'm not convinced that he's cut out for these matches yet. With a bit more experience, with a whole season under his belt, with a bit more confidence, who knows? Now you mentioned Aribo there. I think those comparisons are fair. Early on in his Rangers career, you thought Old Firm games are not really for him. Later on, he actually began to have a bit more influence in them. So that example of Aribo could be something that Aasgaard could look to and can hold on to, but I think he's got an awful lot of work to do to suggest that he can be part of this, a real important part of this squad going forward. From what we've seen so far, I think Rangers could do better.
Yeah, that's just his style. I've said it on a number of videos. I've got Wigan supporting friends, and they all told me that he's lazy. He looks lazy at times. He's capable of special moments at points, but I just think he's in probably the wrong movie at this point. And it was an inspired substitution bringing on Mohamed Diamandi. He always seemed to do well against Celtic in these games and was pivotal. And certainly the goal for Moore, wasn't he? He drove forward in that one. So interesting point coming in just on Chermiti, and I was getting a lot of comments directed at me over the weekend saying, "Oh, do you still want to load him out, Derek, to Wraith, to Alloa, and you still call him a YouTuber?" I apologised on this platform after the game, so I apologised to Yusuf and also on social media as well. I was happy to be proven wrong on the big man. But Richard says, thoughts on Chermiti being the long-term number 9? Does a few games give him the right to be the starting 9 for the rest of the season? Well, Danny Rule himself said after the St Mirren game that one game is nothing. And I'm sure he'll just be keeping Yusuf's feet on the ground. Incidentally, I did love seeing the footage of the team bus coming back to Ibrox after the game, the fans singing the Chermiti song, and he was dancing around and all that, which was fantastic. Incidentally, can we get a new song for Yusuf, please, as opposed to just recycling the Sakala song? Well, it's just a tad bit lazy, guys out there, but if any of you that can think up a good tune for Chermiti, then I think he's deserving of a tune on his own. But at this point from Richard, Chris, I think he will get the nod tomorrow night. He's the man in form, of course, but positive signs in the last couple of games. Never scored against St Mirren, but man of the match, and of course man of the match at the weekend. That'll do his confidence the world of good. And Danny Rule is, as I think we said pre-match when I was on with Joshua in his press conference, he sort of enlightened on or expanded on what he's been working on with Yusuf Chermiti, and he's certainly improved them.
I asked the manager, I was on a pre-match presser a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember ahead of what game it was, one of the Christmas ones, and he was talking about transfers, and I asked him, like, could you go and sign the number 9 when you have 3 guys who all believe they should have that jersey. And paraphrasing, but he said, the next couple of weeks will show me who can be the number 9, and basically a challenge to all of them to say, right, 3 of you, it's not been a great first half of the season, but coming into this run, coming into the second part of it, which one of you 3 is going to be the guy that I can rely on? I think since then, Sharmiti has shown that he could be relied on. I think his performances have certainly been better. But as Danny Rule says almost every time that he's asked about Yusuf, it has to be regular. It has to be consistent. It has to be game after game. That's not to say you go and score 2 goals every single game. That's obviously it would be nice, but it's not going to happen. But that level of performance, that level of effort and endeavour, and all the other things that he has been worked on, the way that he's linked to play, the way that he's offered himself in different areas, that has all been encouraging. For me, one of the most encouraging things on Saturday was the first goal that he scored, a couple of yards out. We've not seen him be in that penalty box figure. We've seen him do a lot of running and putting a lot of work outside the box, but to get in the right area at the right time, it's a really, really good finish as well. But just being in the box, being in that position to go and get on the end of something. So he has to, like the whole squad, he has to keep going. He has to take the confidence from that. You should take the confidence from that. Now, if you've got that way end at Parkhead, singing a song in your name and then get back to Ibrox and you see the scenes there, he should take an awful lot from that. So hopefully he can do that. I think he gets the nod against Aberdeen on Tuesday night now, doesn't he? But we'll have a piece on Sharmiti on the site later on today, hopefully looking at why Rangers signed him and some of the issues that he's had, some of the issues that he's overcome over the course of the first half of the season so far. So hopefully that gives people a bit of insight into who he is and why he's here. Because there has been an awful lot of talk, and we've been involved in that, and rightly so, about the fee. For me, if you're going to spend £8 million on a striker, he has to be one of the best players in the team. He has to be your top goal scorer. That's not how people at the club saw it in the summer. They didn't put that kind of burden on him. Time will tell who's going to be right come the end of the season. But he's certainly, with 45 minutes, he certainly started to win an awful lot of people over.
Yeah, took his 2 goals really well. Great striking instinct to get near post for the opener, and good finish as well. And then the second one, just fantastic to bear down on goal and just pick his spot. So yeah, brilliant performance from him, and long may it continue. I'm getting pulled up for my thoughts on his song. Jack Murphy says Sharmiti's song is a belter, Derek. So there you go. Happy to keep it as it is if folk are happy with that. Let's hope the fans are singing that song on Tuesday night and beyond. But I think certainly the criticism levelled at him previously, I think, probably warranted. But yeah, he's now proven the doubters wrong. So it's good news for Rangers, of course. Moving on, transfer news, and a heads up, folks, during this window, we aim to be bringing you some afternoon updates, if you like, on the current state of play with Rangers with regards to incomings and outgoings. But at this point in time, Chris, no incomings as yet. A few comments coming in about Danilo saying that Rangers should offload him in this window. I think the club would be pretty easy to deal with if a team was to come asking for Danilo. But that aside, are we expecting anything of any note in the coming days, do you reckon?
If we're recording later on, I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say in the next 6 minutes. If I tell everyone that there's something happening, do they tune in later? And if I say there's nothing happening, do they not bother? As it stands, there is nothing in terms of names that we can bring you, unfortunately. A couple of texts last night suggesting that the club are working hard on a couple of deals and that they are potentially getting a bit closer on a couple of deals, but we're still endeavouring to bring you the names of those particular targets. Outgoings, I think, as we've spoken about for the last couple of weeks, it's fairly evident who the the members of the squad are that would be allowed to move on if offers were to come. I think Danilo falls into that category. He's very much a third choice now in that number 9 role. He's seen obviously Miovski get himself a couple of goals. He's seen Chamiti get himself a couple of goals and really can go to the forefront of everyone's mind. So it feels like it's been a bad couple of weeks for Danilo. That's not to say that Rangers will be forcing him or anyone else out the door. Danny Rule is not in a position where he has to sell players before he can go and buy players. Now the deals that the club are working on have been in the pipeline for a while. Some of the targets were first identified in the summer. So they will sign players. Again, we've mentioned that. We've spoken about that. They need to go and add to this squad. So I do expect Rangers to be active in this market. But bear in mind, we are only 5 days in. The other side of that coin, people will rightly say, well, Celtic have signed one and Hearts have signed one, and why haven't Rangers signed one? I get that, but I can only ask the questions and only bring you the updates as they come.
Yep. One player they have been linked with, of course, is James Pinerice over at AEK Athens. I think there was a report from Greece. Chap we've had on the show before saying that a bid has been rejected for him. A left back, of course, previously at Hearts, but we know that left back is an area that Rangers are looking to strengthen. And Daniel said as much recently as well, looking for competition, I guess, for Jayden Magoma. So it is an area that I'd imagine they'll be looking to bring someone in. Paul, with a point, and a few others saying, how much for Danilo do we reckon? Someone asked this when I was doing the Q&A for the extra members on Friday, Chris, and it sort of stumped me. I was thinking to myself, what is a realistic asking price that Rangers could command for a guy that's been plagued by injury pretty much ever since he signed for Rangers? I was of the opinion probably better just to get him off the wage bill, maybe £1.5 million, £2 million at that. Has that been? Should I be asking for more for Danilo, do you reckon?
That's a really tricky one, because as you say, how do you value someone that Rangers signed for £6 million just a couple of seasons ago? I don't think you were making money on him, put it that way, but you also don't want to lose too much on him either. So you don't want to be giving him away for £1 million and taking a £5 million hit on him. Ultimately, he's only worth what someone is willing to pay. You look at leagues where he could go and he could be effective. I'd be surprised if he goes Championship. I'd be surprised if he goes Premier League. I think you're looking, if he does move on, I think you're looking at Europe for Danilo. He needs a run of games. He needs to be a central figure in this in a squad, in a team. It doesn't feel like it's going to happen for him at Rangers. Every time he kind of gets going, there's something happens, whether it be injuries or form or the form of others. So I don't think it's going to work out long term for him. If he doesn't move on this month, you would imagine he moves on at the end of the season, and Rangers going to refresh that forward line. What they could actually get for him, I don't know. So it's not a case of him being, or anyone in the squad being forced out. It's not fire sale time at Ibrox. If nothing comes in terms of a bid that Rangers find acceptable for anyone, then he won't leave. And he's obviously one of many in that kind of group that could move on. You're looking at Bayrami potentially. You're looking at Matondo definitely. You're looking at Kieran Dowell definitely. Insiala potentially. And as we've spoken about before, potential loan interest for Finlay Curtis and Lyle Caburn as well. So Rangers can't obviously carry a squad of mid-30s. You don't want too many players in and around the place. So they will sign, they will move some on. But ultimately, like every window, the ambition is to come out of it the other side stronger than you entered it.
Yep, absolutely is. Good to have Lauren Shanklin tuning into the show this morning. He says, thanks for scudding Celtic. Absolutely made the first weekend of 2026 for me. No problem at all, Lawrence, but thank you for tuning into your favourite show on a weekday morning. No problem whatsoever. Just staying on the transfer front as well, you see a piece on the Rangers Review website, folks, over the weekend. former assistant Issam Sharai, who of course is now manager of Westerlo in Belgium, the club where Tour Romans plays. Rangers been linked with a move for the 22-year-old Belgian left-back. Issam Sharai was quizzed on that over the weekend. He says there's been no official bid for Tour Romans, and our situation at left-back has been well documented. We need reinforcements in that position. As a manager, you always want more new signings to add to the squad, and that is our priority this window. The hope is to improve the players we already have. We still have 10 league matches and then the playoffs to make this a memorable season. So there you go. He is rated around 3.5 million. Big ones is Tour Romans. But as I mentioned earlier on, myself and Mr. Jack will be with you later on this afternoon to bring you another transfer update, folks. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Right, I think we'll wrap up there for now. A big thank you to Chris, as ever, and thank you to everyone on the show for your interaction and for tuning in. Remember, if you're not a subscriber, folks, hit that subscribe button. Helps us here at the channel. Hit that like button as well if you enjoyed today's show. We'll be back later on this afternoon. If we don't speak to you, then we'll be back tomorrow morning, looking ahead to the game on Tuesday night. I think Johnny will be joining me tomorrow. So plenty of Rangers content to come your way. Enjoy your Monday, whatever you're up to, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.